Namaste. I compliment Disha Bharat for this very difficult task of trying to organize back-to-back lectures on a daily basis for how many days, I don't know, 10-15 days, and yet get so many people to come and listen. So as I compliment Disha Bharat team, I also must compliment all of you for your patience. I hope most of you are attending majority of the lectures. I know that in the series, the organizers make sure that various aspects relating to our independence movement are aptly and prominently covered. Our independence is a very cherished movement for all of us. It is the result of the combined effort of millions of Indians through various paths. The cumulative result of all those efforts was the freedom that we secured on 15th of August 1947. We must always cherish it. We should always have great respect for it. And we should always remember that independence that we secured 75 years ago was not a result of the efforts of any few leaders of our country. It is the result of the efforts of all the Indians together. Different paths were adopted. One path was led by the Congress, led by Gandhiji, Tilak, Sardar Patel, Nehru, Maulana Azad. One path. There were others also. Savarkar had his own path. Subhash Babu had his own path. Revolutionaries like Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, they had their own path. There were poets who were writing songs. There were literary personalities who were producing literature. There were media persons who were running papers, magazines, all with the aim of inspiring the nation towards fighting for freedom. There were even saints, like I come from Andhra Pradesh. Alluri Sitaram Raju is a saint. But he dedicated his life to mobilizing tribal people in the fight against the British. The result was independence. So whenever we talk about or remember our independence, we must remember that it is our independence. We secured it. When I say we, maybe our forefathers. There will be people in this audience whose forefathers probably would have been the freedom fighters of those times. So why I'm emphasizing on this fact that it is our freedom, it is because since it is our freedom, it is also our duty to secure it. It is our duty to make sure that this freedom is not frittered away. In that context, while we celebrate our independence, we enjoy it, and this year especially, since it is the completion of 75 years of our independence, we will be celebrating it by hoisting our national flag on every household, on top of every household. The Flag Act has been appropriately amended now. We all must do that on our households. We should hoist the national flag. Those who want to keep it, they can keep it forever, but keep it in a very respectful way. But also today, at least on this particular day, we should turn to one chapter in our freedom movement, which was not so very happy kind of episode. Rather, it was a very tragic episode. We remember that episode, which is described as the Partition of India, but with only one objective: not to belittle independence. No, independence is a moment of honor and pride for all of us. Never to belittle it. But in that great moment, there are hiding a few lessons. Just to take those lessons, just to understand that whatever small or big mistakes were committed should not be repeated. Because as Nehru used to say, those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. If you forget history, you will commit the mistakes again. Then you will end up facing the consequences again. So today, let me throw some light on some developments during the course of that great independence movement, which had at one level led to the joyous moment of our freedom. When India became free, that night, the night of 14th of August 1947, no Indian had slept. Out of joy that we are today out of that slavery. 1,000 years of slavery had ended. The people were thrilled, joyous, happy, singing, dancing on the streets. And that great famous speech of Jawaharlal Nehru, it's called the Tryst with Destiny speech, which we all study as students in high school and in college. That great speech was being delivered by Nehru. People were really happy, celebrating all over the country. While this nation was celebrating that very, very, very important moment in our history, there were some people who were screaming, who were crying, who were desperate. They were not enjoying this great moment of freedom of our country. Instead, they were struggling to survive, running for their lives. They were not anti-freedom. They were not traitors. They were also like you and me. Just as we all wanted India's freedom, we all fought for India's freedom, they also wanted freedom of India, they also fought for freedom of India, then why were they crying? The simple reason was, freedom came to us with one meaning. Freedom came to them with a totally different meaning. For us, freedom meant the end of 150 years of, or 190 years of the brutal British rule. For some, it is the end of centuries of foreign rule. A moment came when we were able to rule on our own self. We were becoming the drafters of destiny of our own lives. That was the meaning for most of us. But there were some in our country for whom freedom meant, independence meant looting of their houses, burning thereof their properties, killing of their loved ones, husbands killed, fathers killed, sons killed, brothers killed, raping of their women, uprooting from their places of birth overnight. That became the meaning of freedom for those people. They were helpless. When we became free, we all thought, oh, okay, now my country is free. But on this very same country, on this very same land, there were people who were told that this country on which you are standing, this land, this territory, this piece of land on which you are standing is no longer yours. Overnight they became foreigners in their own country. What happened was, at that stroke of that midnight, India was divided into two countries, Hindustan and Pakistan. those who were living in Pakistan, until then that was also part of this great country, Hindustan, India. For them, overnight, their land became foreign, or they became foreigners on their own land. Same thing happened to some people living on this side, in Punjab, in Bengal. Overnight, their territory became foreign to them. We created two independent countries in the name of independence by partitioning this great country of India. Partition did not happen peacefully, although some leaders tried to justify, saying that, okay, you see, after all, we are all brothers, we are sharing our property. Of course, brothers share property, but brothers never share mothers. You don't cut your mother into two pieces and you take one piece and I take one piece. Country is like mother to us. We call it Bharat Mata. But country was partitioned and we tried to justify it. The fact is, the partition did not happen like even brothers sharing the property. Largely, when brothers share property, it happens in a peaceful manner. Largely. There will be disputes, but I'm generally talking. But in this case, rough estimates go that a minimum of 300,000 people were killed. 3 lakh people were killed in the name of India's partition. On that night, when we were all reveling in joy, rivers of blood were flowing on this land. Innocents were killed. 10 to 15 million people were uprooted from their own homes and hearths. They were overnight told, your country, this land became foreign, you go back to India. That was the tragic period about which we are trying to remember. A few small facts. India is mother to us. This country, nation is mother to us. Naturally, nobody wanted partition. Mahatma Gandhi, who was leading the Congress-led movement, had once declared, vivisect me before vivisecting Bharat, vivisecting this country. Meaning, first you have to kill me. You have to cut my body into pieces, then only you can partition India. In front of Gandhi's eyes, India was divided. Nehru, being a romantic person, called it a fantastic nonsense. Fantastic nonsense means, mad people say many things. It's like some mad people talking about it, it will never happen. He called it fantastic nonsense. But Nehru was the first signatory to the partition plan called the June 3rd plan, which was signed on 3rd of June 1947. People were surprised. Who is crazy now? Who is fantastic now? Sardar Patel once said, Talwar se talwar bhidegi, sword will be met with sword. We shall not let this country be divided. Patel was a mute witness when India was divided. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who became the first president of India, he was in jail during the Quit India movement, which was incidentally started on this very day in 1943, August 9th. He had authored a book sitting in jail. The title of the book was India Divided. So in that he logically argued that how this country cannot be divided. It's a divine country, you can't divide it. Before the ink of that book could dry up, India was divided. Nobody wanted it. Then why was it divided? Why did partition happen? There is a very heart-wrenching story behind it. the areas that were partitioned and that were made to Pakistan were very sacred areas. River Sindhu, the entire civilization of this land is linked to that river Sindhu. Sindhu flows in that region. It is a place where Takshashila University had once existed. It was actually the place of, many great leaders. Maharaja Ranjit Singh's capital used to be Lahore. Sharda Peeth exists there. Overnight, all of that became not only something foreign, but also something against the very spirit of those things. It was declared overnight as a Muslim country, Muslim nation. Nobody wanted it, yet it happened. This has a history of 4 decades and 2 players. We can add any number of players additionally. But 2 main players and 4 decades of history is what Partition of India is all about. Those 4 decades start with 1904, when the British first decided to split Bengal into East and West Bengal. Calcutta was the capital of British at that time. Delhi was not the capital. Delhi became capital in 1911. Calcutta was the capital. Calcutta was also, because it was the capital, it was the hub of anti-British movement. Revolutionaries were there, Congress movement was there, Bengalis were very active in the independence struggle. So the British had decided that let us split Bengal into Hindu and Muslim Bengal, let us divide Hindus and Muslims so that they will fight among each other, we can continue to rule, which generally is described in our textbooks as divide and rule. They attempted it in 1904. A movement was launched against the partition of Bengal. One state, one province in India was partitioned and a movement was launched. That name of that movement was Vande Mataram movement. With Vande Mataram as the war cry, the Congress had launched a movement in 1905. 7 years down the line, 1911, King George V, the King of Britain, he had to come to India to declare that no, we are not going to partition Bengal, please stop your movement. A great victory for nationalists in India. Just 7 years. 1904 the announcement happened. 1911 the Britishers were forced to take it back, because the whole country stood up like one man to defeat the designs of the British. But friends, in 1940, 35 years later, the Muslim League at Lahore had demanded division of India, partition of India. They passed a resolution for Pakistan. 7 years later, country was divided. Simple question to ponder over is, when just one province was divided, namely Bengal, in 7 years, the country could stand up to British might and defeat them. Bengal's division was annulled. It was finished, defeated. But after 3 decades or 4 decades, when the whole country was being divided, why could we not stop it? What happened in between those 3-4 decades that we failed to stop this other partition, which was much bigger? As I said, there it was only one province, here the whole country. So much bloodshed was happening. Why we could not stop it? There we have to understand the role of 2 people. Again, not with any malice. It's only to understand what transpired and try to see if we can learn some lessons. Those two were very interesting people. Out of the two, one was there on both the occasions, and he was the winner on both the occasions. The other was not there in the first occasion, but the other was there on the second occasion, but he was the loser. And those two were Gandhi and Jinnah. Incidentally, Jinnah was the winner and Gandhi was the loser. And it's a very interesting story. These two big leaders both played very crucial role during the movement for India's independence. Both had started at a point which was different, ended up at a point which became different, and the results were also different. Let me start with Jinnah. Jinnah was a barrister. In fact, there are a few similarities between Gandhi and Jinnah. Both were barristers. Both had earned their barrister degree from London. Both were English educated. Jinnah returned to India early after his education, started his practice in Mumbai, joined the Congress movement, and some of you will be surprised to know that he became a staunch supporter or active leader of the Vande Mataram movement. Vande Mataram movement was against the division of Bengal on Hindu-Muslim lines. And who was there to oppose it? Jinnah himself. Jinnah was at that time secretary to Dadabhai Nauroji. He was very close to Gopalakrishna Gokhale. These were all big leaders of our Congress movement at that time. He was with them. When a party called Muslim League was created, with the demand that Muslims should have separate existence in India, they should not join Congress, one of those very strongly opposed to that move was Jinnah. Jinnah openly challenges Muslim League leaders in 1908, says, "Who are you? Who gave you the authority to speak up for the entire Muslim community? No, you are not our representatives. Muslims should not be separate. We all should be like one people. We should be like one nation." This was Jinnah. This was his starting point. And where he ended, you all know. That Jinnah, who was fighting for the unity of Bengal, became the strong advocate of division of entire country, creation of Pakistan, and finally achieved it. The other player, Gandhi, came to India in 1915. 1915, when he came with an experience from South Africa, where he fought against the same colonial rulers, the British rulers, but there he could mobilize the support of both Hindus and Muslims. So he came to India with the view that I can carry both Hindus and Muslims together in India, like how I carried them in South Africa. So when he came to India, his foremost slogan was, "Without Hindu-Muslim unity, no freedom." Here was Jinnah, who was saying, Hindu-Muslim unity and all these things go to hell. We are all for freedom. Here was Gandhi saying, no, Hindu-Muslim unity first, then freedom. In this race, Gandhi overtook Jinnah. Gandhi's efforts at winning over the recalcitrant Muslim leadership to Congress side had led to certain very unfortunate developments. When Gandhi came to India, he was felicitated in Mumbai. That felicitation program was chaired by Jinnah. Not many people know about this incident. When Gandhi saw that a Muslim was sitting in the chair, Gandhi's first reaction was, "Wow, what a beautiful sight it is. I have a Muslim chairing over my program." It did not appear to Gandhi that it is quite natural. Why this question of Hindu, Muslim, why should we think like this? But Gandhi's view was, because Muslims came with me in South Africa, they should come with me here also. Now we have Jinnah here. But Jinnah at that time was anything but a Muslim. He never went to any mosque. He never prayed. He always wore European dress, suit, boot and tie. He never displayed any religiosity in him. He was never religious. So their first encounter was that. Gandhi's effort was to win over Muslims before we could actually launch a freedom movement. In the process, there was the first movement that Congress wanted to launch, non-cooperation movement in 1919 and 20. Muslims of Muslim League said, we want to have Khilafat movement. Gandhi entered into a compromise because without Hindu-Muslim unity, no freedom. That was the conviction. So Gandhi said, all right, if you come and support my non-cooperation movement, I will support your Khilafat movement, then we can achieve both. Now Khilafat had nothing to do with India. Forget about freedom movement. It had nothing to do with India. Khilafat about the ruler of Turkey, who was removed after the First World War, and the Muslims of Turkey, Turkish people were all Muslims. They themselves had decided that we don't want this ruler. He used to be called as Khalifa. Khalifa means the temporal leader of all the Muslims. Muslims themselves in Turkey had said, we don't want any Khalifa. We want our own Prime Minister, President. We want our own democratic system. But in India, the Muslim League leaders started saying, no, we need to restore Khilafat. Khalifa wapas lana hai. And who supported them? Congress. For what? In a bargain. Okay, I support you in Khilafat. Okay, it has nothing to do with India. Still I support you. In return, you support me. First time, India's independence movement was reduced to a bangan sabji purchase. Where you bargain, na? That bargain which began led to one bargain after the other, one compromise after the other. The whole idea was, if I keep on pleasing these Muslim League people, they come with us, then we get freedom. Savarkar, at one point, tells Gandhi. Gandhi comes to see Savarkar in Ratnagiri. Savarkar tells Gandhi that the path that you took will take India to ruins. What you should do is to tell the Muslim League people that if you come, with you. If you do not, without you. But if you oppose, in spite of you. Meaning, if you come, let us together fight for India's independence. If you do not come, okay, all right, you don't join. We will ourselves fight for India's independence. But if you oppose, if you join hands with the British, we will throw out the British and also you also. Just tell this to the Muslim League leadership. This is what Savarkar tells Gandhi. Gandhi says, no, thank you, your suggestion, but I think my way is right. So that path had created new Muslim leadership in the country, which had come from the Muslim League. Those Muslims who were in the Congress, believing in Congress nationalist ideology, were relegated to, back seat. Maulana Muhammad Ali, Shaukat Ali, leaders who would at one point, they were, Gandhi tried his best to please them. One of them, Maulana Muhammad Ali, was made the president of Congress sessions in Kakinada in 1923. He became the president of Congress session. He declared that a fallen Muslim, in my eyes, is better than Gandhi. And Gandhi, because he could not take offense to it, because if he took offense to it, this Muhammad Ali fellow will run away. So Gandhi justified it by saying, look, he is only giving his religious position. He probably didn't mean it. He respects me. But religious position he was stating. We went to the extent of tolerating or probably appeasing them in their most uncouth type of statements also. And Maulana Muhammad Ali was president of the Congress section in Kakinada in 1923. Congress sections used to begin with the song Vande Matram. Right from 1905, this became a practice in Congress, that we'll start our sessions with Vande Matram. Vishnu Digambar Puluskar, a great music scholar, used to come and sing from Maharashtra. Puluskar came. Gandhi was not there because Gandhi was in jail. Gandhi was arrested. Kasturba was there. Baki, all top Congress leaders were there on the dais. Motilal Nehru was there, all of them. Nehru, Jawaharlal was not very senior in the hierarchy at that time, but Motilal was. When Vishnu Digambar Puluskar came on the dais to start the session by singing this invocation, Vande Matram, Muhammad Ali said, no, you can't sing. Happened for the first time. So Puluskar asked, what's the problem? Muhammad Ali said, it's against the sentiments of Muslims. So hereafter, in Congress, you should not sing Vande Matram. Puluskar looks at the leaders of Congress sitting on the dais. Nobody had courage to stand up and tell Muhammad Ali that it's not done. Vande Matram is worship of the motherland. It's not a religious song. Everybody was silent. But Puluskar was not. Puluskar tells Muhammad Ali, Mr. Ali, when you came to this session, there was a lot of baja, bhajantri, music, song, dance. You never objected to it. If music is against Islam, why did you allow music in your procession? Also, it's not a mosque. If it is a mosque, okay, I have to follow certain principles. If it is a temple, I have to follow certain rules. It is a public forum, Congress forum. I have been doing it in the last many years. Nobody, and in fact, Puluskar's words were, my friend, Britishers could not stop me from singing Vande Matram. How can you think you can stop me? He goes ahead and sings. He goes ahead and sings. But then what happened was, Congress takes a decision that, okay, hereafter, together with Vande Matram, we will also sing Muhammad Iqbal's Sare Jahan Se Acha. Some compromise, okay, Sare Jahan Se Acha, Vande Matram, both are same. Something. After a few years, then Congress takes a decision because Jinnah said, no, Congress is singing Vande Matram, that means you are a Hindu party. So Congress decided to completely, to divide Vande Matram, split Vande Matram and only sing one stanza. So like that, so many compromises went on happening. As Gandhi was cultivating Muslim League leadership, Jinnah decided, okay, now in Congress I have no future. Because Congress is pandering to different Muslim leadership, let me try my own path. So Jinnah left Congress in 1920, joined Muslim League, struggled, because Muslim League, one section of the leadership was already under the spell of Gandhi. So he could not get any major foothold. In early 1930s, he went away to London, started working as a barrister in the Privy Council there, stayed out of the movement. But something very interesting happened. 1935, elections were held to provincial assemblies. Jinnah decided to come back. Congress was at its height of popularity. Finally, elections were held in 1937. In 8 provinces, Congress captured power. In remaining 3 provinces, certain local parties captured power. Muslim League was nowhere. Nobody supported Muslim League. Jinnah came. Jinnah realized that something needs to be done. So Jinnah started this new idea that Muslims and Hindus are 2 separate nations. In that, he was supported by Muhammad Iqbal. Muhammad Iqbal died in 1938. But Jinnah picked up that one slogan, Hindus and Muslims are 2 nations. Now, very surprisingly, there were no takers even for that argument, even within the Muslim community at that time. Nobody was there. Nobody was supporting him. As I said, when elections were held, when Jinnah went to Muslims saying that Hindus and Muslims were separate, Muslims should have their own existence separately, nobody supported him. Muslims supported Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. Muslims supported Fazlul Haq, Sikandar Hayat Khan, but not Jinnah. But Jinnah got that oxygen when Gandhi decided to engage with him in a dialogue in 1938. Why we went to Jinnah, nobody knows. But Congress leadership decided, no, Jinnah should be brought back to Congress. So first negotiation started with Gandhi. Nothing could come out. When Gandhi could not get it, Nehru started it. Nothing came out. When Nehru also failed, Subhash Babu started it. Subhash Babu was the president of Congress in 1938. He started it. Nothing came out. But in the process, Jinnah became a big leader. 1940, Jinnah declared, I want Pakistan. Nothing short of Pakistan. Then Congress leadership realized that, array, this has gone too far. We tried to appease these people. Neither Muhammad Ali could be trusted, nor Jinnah can be trusted now. Then Congress decides to launch that Quit India movement. Then Gandhi says, Hindu-Muslim unity is not important. India's unity is important. That was in 1943. Remember, 1915, Gandhi was saying, freedom can wait, but not Hindu-Muslim unity. Same Gandhi said in 1943, no, freedom cannot wait, unity cannot wait, Hindu-Muslim unity can wait. But it was too late by then. League had already upped the ante. And 1945, elections were happening to states. Once again, provincial elections and elections to central parliamentary, central legislature. Again, League was roundly defeated. League could not win even one province. Again, Congress won 8 provinces. Friends of Congress won even Muslim provinces like NWFP. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, Badshah Khan, his son, they became the leaders there. But again, 1944, Gandhi again started dialogue with Jinnah. 18 days, Gandhi went to Jinnah's house every day, pleading with him, please don't disappoint me. This is the word Gandhi used, please don't disappoint me. And Jinnah said, nothing doing, I want Pakistan, nothing doing. At one point, finally, Gandhi goes to Mountbatten, and Mountbatten came to India in 1947, goes to Mountbatten and says, you see, the Jinnah is not listening to any proposal. Please tell him that let him take over entire India. I don't mind. Let him not divide India. Let him become the Prime Minister, President, whatever he wants to become. Let him become, but let him become for the President of entire India. Mountbatten asked Gandhi, I mean, this is so strange. I don't know what your other colleagues will say, Nehru Patel will say, but for a moment, can you tell me what will Jinnah say? Gandhi says, yeah, I know. Jinnah will say, this is the most mischievous trick of this old wily man. Gandhi, old wily man, it is going to be his last trick. I don't fall for it. But luckily, Nehru was opposed to it, Patel was opposed to it. So Gandhi's proposal did not go further. But we went to that extent, but in the process, Jinnah, who was not the leader of the Muslims at all, was made into a leader. Wrong priorities, wrong leaders, wrong understanding of this nation, this society, had finally led to a person who was not a Muslim. Jinnah, as I said, was a non-practicing Muslim who married a Parsi. He did not even marry a Muslim. First he married a Hindu Gujarati when she died. He married a Parsi Gujarati, but she died in 1929 or 30. He was a happy man. Liquor, drinking is prohibited in Islam, but not a single day passed for Jinnah without liquor. Until 1937, he never wore any Muslim dress also. For political reasons, he started wearing sherwani after 37. We made such a person a leader by engaging with him, by promoting with him. The result was, when the movement came, he won, and those who wanted the unity of this country with all good intentions, we lost. As I said, finally, in the race, Jinnah won. He had his Pakistan. Gandhi lost. He could not keep India united. And Gandhi knew it was a big setback for him. He tried his best after 43. We must give credit to him. He tried his best to see that India is not partitioned. But it was too late by then. And more importantly, Muslim League under Jinnah had resorted to extreme violence. They killed, they committed riots everywhere. It became free for all in the country, and British were enjoying it. British were just spectators. They were allowing Hindus and Muslims to fight so that they continued to rule over India for many years to come. And that violence had led to Nehru and Patel conclude that we can no longer live with these fellows. Better let them take it. In fact, Nehru tells in the end, and in fact not in the end, in 1956 he says that, you see, none of us wanted partition, but we became very tired. We could no longer stand up to the violence that the Muslim League was perpetrating. So I started with a quote by Gandhi: "Vivisect me before vivisecting India." That was Gandhi when the partition resolution was passed by Muslim League in 1940 at Lahore. But in 1947, when the Congress leaders Nehru and Patel and others, Kripalani, went ahead and signed the partition document, when he was asked by people, "You said on your dead body only India can be divided. What do you have to say now?" Gandhi says, "You see, when I said that, I had the whole country behind me. The whole country was ready to fight for the unity of our nation. But today, nobody is with me." When he said nobody, even Nehru is not with me, Patel is not with me. Everybody wants partition. I'm a helpless loner. So I had to now say, okay, I said it, but today, again I have to go by what people want. People, by people he meant the leaders of Congress. None of them is with me today. I can't help accept this as a fait accompli. I don't accept it as a person. So he was not there when India was celebrating independence. He was there in Calcutta, attending to the riot victims there. Nehru called him, Mountbatten called him, "Please come to Delhi, please be a part of the celebration." And Gandhi says, "No, I can't celebrate this moment. When my whole dream was shattered, I can't celebrate it." So he stayed away, admitted failure, and finally he wrote in Harijan that he begged the people, he said, "Please, posterity, when they see the partition and its evil effects on both Hindustan and Pakistan, they should not blame this poor old man for the partition of this country." Maybe, yes, we should not blame any one person in this, but the sequence of events must tell us one or two important lessons. Lesson number one is never compromise on the question of country's unity and integrity. On that, no compromise. Today you see that when we integrated Kashmir, when we are standing up to China on the borders today, or when we are sending our aeroplanes to Pakistan to bomb their terror hideouts, we are conveying the message that we have learnt our lessons, no longer compromise about the unity of the country, integrity of the country. Secondly, never allow appeasement. Appeasement is never the way forward for any great nation. Country's unity is the responsibility of each and every citizen. You may be a Muslim, you may be a Hindu, you may be a Christian. This country is the responsibility, its unity is the responsibility of each and every citizen of this country. Nobody can demand, "I'm a minority, give me this right, then only I will be with you." No. So never try to appease anybody, much less wrong people. Long story, please find time to read it, but in nutshell, I try to present the facts of that partition before you. Namaste and thank you.